We're now listening to Wealthy Sistas Radio Show. We're now listening to Wealthy Sistas with Deborah Hartnett.
Welcome to Wealthy Sistas Radio. I'm Deborah Hartnett. This is a space for thoughtful conversation with founders, leaders, and creatives building with purpose and intention. Well, today I am truly honored and genuinely excited to welcome one of our very own, an extraordinary voice and a featured author published through the Wealthy Sistas Publishing House. That's right, she's none other than Dr. Angela McIntyre. Dr. Angela, as I affectionately love to call her, is a phenomenal leader, a visionary, and a woman whose work reflects both depth and distinction. While her accolades are so many, it is her commitment to leading from within with clarity, purpose, and intention that truly sets her apart. There is something special, especially meaningful, I should say, about being able to highlight the brilliance of the authors within our own community. And today is one of those moments. So please join me in a warm welcome to the incredible Dr. Angela McIntyre to the Wealthy Sistas Radio platform. Welcome to Wealthy Sistas Radio. May I call you Dr. Angela?
You may.
Awesome. We are so super excited to host you today. Not only have I had the privilege of getting to know you these past couple of months, but just to see your growth as you have created and birthed this project that we're going to talk about today has just been absolutely amazing to me. I'm thankful to be a part of this. And I'm super excited to have you on Wealthy Sistas Radio today.
Well, I think I'm more thankful for you. You've been very helpful in motivating and inspiring. And I do appreciate your appreciation for the work that I've put in this project. And hopefully we can get this message out, and hopefully it will help people.
Absolutely. Well, we know we talk a lot about instinct, and instinct has a lot to do with intention. And we know your intention is pure. So with that being said, we know that it is definitely going to help someone. So we're talking today with Dr. Angela McIntyre, and our topic today is her new book, The Instinct Impact: The Sacred Art of Leading from Within. Now, before we get into your book, Dr. Angela, I always ask everybody, because we're a little nosy on the show here, we like to know, what are those major ingredients that went into your beautiful recipe that we see today? Like, where are you from and how did you start on this journey?
I talk about in my book, I started out in Jackson, Georgia, where I was born and raised, a little small town in middle Georgia. I left there after graduating from high school, and I went to college to another small town, Fort Valley State University.
All right.
Where I majored in zoology. After being at Fort Valley for 4 years, I left there and I went to Tuskegee University in Tuskegee, Alabama. Started veterinary college there. So I was there for 4 years and I left and I started a career in public practice. So as of February the 2nd, I will have 30 years in public practice. And so after veterinary college, I started working, and that's what I've been doing, working as a veterinarian for the last 30 years.
Wow. You said you studied zoology.
Mm-hmm.
What made you want to study zoology? You hear people talk about, I want to be a doctor, but you don't often hear someone studying zoology.
Well, it was kind of odd when I went to Fort Valley. my ideal, I told the folks I wanted to major in biology because I knew I was going to leave undergrad and go to medical school.
Mm-hmm.
At Fort Valley, instead of it being called biology, they named it zoology. But it's the same thing as majoring in biology because that's what you had to major in when you knew you were going to go further. And I knew I was going further, and that's what they called it.
So you knew that you were going to go further with animals. So you grew up obviously with a love of animals.
I did, but I knew that I was going to go into the field of medicine. Let me say that.
Okay.
But there was a certain part of me, I think, when I had the experience as a young child when I lost my dog Charlie Brown from heartworms.
No.
And I felt helpless. But
Uh-huh.
even from that, I always had this desire to learn about medicine. I used to read books and encyclopedias with diagnoses and problems all the time, trying to figure out a problem, even something that I may have had or somebody else may have had. I'll go look it up, and I would try to find, what was it, how to cure it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also remember when I was in high school, I was so interested in biology that I asked the biology teacher that we had if he would take the time after class. His name was Mr. Fels, Charles Fels. I asked him, would he just go over some things with me? So it was like a tutoring session. Not that I needed tutoring, but I just wanted to know more. And so he agreed to spend that time with me after school. And that's something that I would do.
That's awesome. That's awesome to have someone that inspires you like that. And when we talk about inspiration, I think that's a great segue into the title of what we see today in your amazing project, The Instinct Impact, the sacred art of leading from within. So the instinct impact, what do you mean, or what do you want people to know or feel when someone hears the instinct impact?
I want people to understand that just like animals, we have instinct. Humans call it different things. They call it sixth sense. They call it universal intelligence, God, the Holy Spirit. There are several names for it, but I want people to know that it's the same thing that we recognize in animals. Animals, that's all they listen to. But humans, we have it, but we get distracted from the noise in our environments, in our world, and we don't pay attention to it. And so what this book is about is talking about my life and how I came to the realization that it really is a thing. And it's something that we should pay attention to because it is our guiding light. Now, I grew up in a church. I studied Christianity more than any other religion. And so you might hear me reference, or you might read in my book that I will reference something from the Bible. And because that's what's been instilled in me. But it's not necessarily to speak to people of the Christian faith. I read this book with the intentions that it speaks across the human spirit. But the point is that there is something that is within us. It is real. It is a thing, and we should pay attention to it. I think that if we do more of that, drowning out the noise and listening more to what's inside of us, that we will make better decisions. We will be impactful regardless of what role we're playing, whether we are a mother or a father or some professional CEO, manager of a company. I think that when we pay attention to that, we can be more impactful in our lives.
I love that. And several of the things, I mean, we could talk all day about what you just said, being able to be aware, not be distracted, especially in this world today. There are so many different distractions, not just talking about the climate, the energy, the atmosphere, but the devices, the different activities and things that we have that are designed to distract us. Like the King's games, we talk about that, the football season, the basketball season, the entertainers, they all get paid very well, right?
Yes.
To keep us, I believe, now this is my belief, I'm not speaking in anyone else's authority but mine, right?
Yeah.
To keep us distracted and to pull us away from hearing what you're talking about, that inner voice. Because I love the title of the book, The Instinct Impact, is the sacred art of leading from within. So when you described your book before, I know you talk about it as a sacred map. What awakened in you that made you say, it's time? Like, what did you hear to say it's time for the Instinct Impact?
So it started actually from the naming of my business, Protect Your Mind, which is a teaching, coaching, training business. I had this spiritual awakening that, you know what, everything that enters into our bodies has to be processed in your mind. I thought about the Bible verse that your body is a temple of God. And if it is a temple of God, then you know what? There are always things trying to penetrate it. So I thought about the fact that the body is made up of several orifices or holes, if you will, ways in which things can enter into it, be it physical or spiritually. And so I know that a lot of people get distracted by the things that they see. So that's kind of a spiritual thing. When you see things, it goes to your brain and it affects you. When you hear things, so things like different types of music or what people are discussing, negative talk versus positive talk, all of those things affect you. Things that you put in your mouth, it goes to your brain. Your ear, we talked about ears, your mouth, your nose, in your skin, you have holes in your skin, and so on and so forth. You can think about all the openings that the body has. And so I think that there are things outside of us that purposefully is designed to enter into your mind in any one of those ways, because it's a temple. God set us up, our bodies, as a temple, and it houses that voice or that breath that I talk about in my book. When he formed man, he said he breathed the breath of life. So starting from my business, when I thought about the fact that you have these things that are out here to distract us, the business name, that came from a conversation that I had with God, Protect Your Mind. I thought it was kind of corny when God was talking to me and saying, you need to name this business Protect Your Mind. That ended up being my biggest message, is for people to protect your mind. So the book kind of came from, okay, well, if I'm protecting my mind, why am I protecting my mind? You're protecting your mind because you have to set yourself up where you can hear the voice. The instinct, what God is saying to you, the spirit, the voice, the breath, you have to hear what it's saying to you. And in order to hear what it's saying to you, you have to protect your mind. And that's where it came from.
I love it. I love it. And it's like you're reading my notes here. I was going to ask you about the reference you make about the body being a temple and the breath is the guide. When you talk about that, what is divine instinct in simple terms when we start talking about what you said, the breath, that it was put into us, and this whatever this is that anyone wants to call it, that's within us, that instinct that we're talking about. What is that divine instinct in simple terms for a woman that may feel disconnected? Because we're talking about the distractions. We're talking about the power of protecting your mind and the purpose for you protecting your mind and why you have to protect your mind. But what is the divine instinct in simple terms for
It
that
is.
person and not just women. I know you speak to women, but
Yeah.
to anyone that's listening that feels disconnected.
Mm-hmm.
And we can describe, before we do that,
Mm-hmm.
that's don't put a pin in the question now.
Okay.
Now, don't forget.
Okay.
But let's break down what feeling disconnected may be, because someone might be going through and not really sure what it is they're going through. How can we can help them first identify that that's all this is that you're experiencing is a disconnect.
When a person is disconnected, they feel unsettled. There's no peace. Okay. Instinct is.
Thank you for tuning into Wealthy Sistas Radio Part 1 episode of The Instinct Impact, The Sacred Art of Leading from Within with Dr. Angela McIntyre. Please click the link labeled Part 2 for the conclusion of the interview.
The opinions of our guests do not necessarily reflect the opinions of our hosts, staff, or partners of Wealthy Sistas Radio.